Right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's begin our session. And today, let me show you like what we will be discussing is. So let's continue with the VPC. So we have few things left to discuss. Let's continue with those things. And actually, let's recap like what we have seen in the previous sessions. Okay, I have deleted all the infrastructure created under VPC, all those things, but we can quickly create it now because we understood the concept. Since we understood the concept, we can quickly create it now. But before we create it, let's again discuss like what we were doing under VPC. Okay, what we are trying to learn under VPC. So VPC is a virtual private cloud. We all know. So we need to select some IP address. We need to provide some IP address range for creating VPC. And inside the VPC, we are creating subnets. Okay, let's assume that we are creating two subnets. One is private subnet, one is public subnet, other one is private subnet. Okay. So I just created the subnet names as web subnet and DB subnet. The web subnet is the public subnet, and this one is private subnet. DB subnet is the private subnet. This is what we created. And later, if we wanted to provide the internet connectivity to the web subnet, okay, how can we provide internet connectivity to the web subnet? We cannot directly connect. Usually, what happens is we need a component. What is a component that we require for connecting, for providing internet connectivity? We need a component called
Internet gateway.
internet gateway. I think you can hear me, right? You can hear. So we
Yes.
need a component called internet gateway. So what we are doing is I am going to connect this internet gateway to the VPC. First, we'll connect the internet gateway to the VPC. I'm just writing the name of the internet gateway as IG. IG is directly attaching to the VPC. And again, what is the next step? We will be connecting this. We will be attaching this internet gateway. We'll
Through
be
route
attaching
tables.
this internet gateway to the subnet. We cannot directly attach that internet gateway. That's why I'm attaching the route table. And through the route table, we will be attaching that. We'll be attaching that to the subnet. Okay, we are creating a route table. One end of the route table is connecting to the subnet, and another end of the route table is connecting to
VP,
internet gateway.
internet gateway.
Okay, internet gateway. So the name of the route table, I'm simply providing the name. I'm just giving the name of the route table as RT. RT stands for route table. So these are the components we have understood in the previous sessions. And we have also created one server. We have created one server in the web subnet. And if it is a public subnet, okay, if you are making the subnet as a public subnet, what are the steps that we need to do for making the subnet as a public subnet? We need to enable auto assign public IP. If you want to make any IP as public IP, so if you want to make any subnet as public subnet, usually what we need to do is we need to enable auto assign.
Public IP.
So that we did. And what is the next step after doing it? After assigning public IP, we have one more step to make the subnet as public subnet. What is that one? Remember? So making the subnet as a two-step process, if you remember, okay? If you want to make the subnet as public subnet, it is a two-step process. By default, what is the nature of the subnet? By default, the nature of the subnet is
Private.
private. Okay, we need to make the subnet as
Public.
public. So how to make? If you want to make the public as a public subnet, we need to enable the public IP. And these are the steps. Okay, we need to create internet gateway, and we will attach internet gateway to the VPC. And we will also attach that internet gateway. We'll create a route table, and we will attach the route table to the subnet. These are the steps. Okay. Anyhow, we understood this step. Okay. We understood this step, how to create internet gateway, how to attach that internet gateway to the VPC. How can we attach the same internet gateway to the subnet also? We understood. But before we do all these things, the first step is you need to enable auto assign settings.
Public.
Okay.
Yes.
Auto assign settings we need to enable. This is how usually we make. This is how usually we make.
Public subnet.
Thing unable to hear. I think there is some issue with from my. Is it an issue from my side? I think
You're
you.
audible. You're audible.
Okay. Shaili, I think there is some issue from your side. Okay, please check it. So, okay, this is how actually we make the subnet as public. Okay, then let's see. After that, like we have created one server. If I create any server in the web subnet, so usually public IP will be assigned, and we can able to connect to that server. Okay, so usually we know how to create servers in the public subnet. While creating the server, we will select the VPC and we will select the subnet so that the server will be created in this particular subnet. In the same way, okay, usually what server we created here, usually what type of servers we create here, we create web servers. Okay, we create web servers in the public this web subnet. Okay, and we will also create one more server which is called as DB server here. We're going to create one more server which is called DB server. So for now, the issue is for now actually what we are trying to understand is we are creating some DB server. Assume that I'm going to create one server in the private subnet which is called as DB server, and we are not enabling the public IP for it. Okay, we are not enabling public IP for it. So if we do not enable public IP, no one can able to connect to that particular server. Suppose if we have some DBS and all, let's assume. Okay, so if we are not enabling the public IP, we cannot connect to the server. So how can the DBS connect? We need to provide a solution. Okay, we need to provide a solution how the DBS can connect to the DB server and how can they perform how can they go for installing some packages or upgrading some packages. They need to connect to the DB server, right? So for making some installations or for making some upgrades for whatever the reasons, they want access to the DB server. They have to connect. So if we are not enabling public IP, they cannot connect to this server. So we are providing a solution. What is the solution that we are providing? We are creating one more server. Okay, we are creating one more server here. Where that server is being created, we are creating one more server in the public subnet itself, in the web subnet itself. If you want to make any server as public, if you want to enable public IP for any server, where you are creating that server, you'll be creating that server in the public subnet only. Otherwise, if you see here, if we create any server in the private subnet, public IP will not be enabled. Public IP is disabled here in the private subnet. DB subnet is private. Web subnet is what? Public.
Yes.
So we are providing a solution like we are creating a jump host. We are creating a jump host in the public subnet, which is called web subnet. And what happens is DBA, whoever wants to connect, okay, DBA cannot directly connect to the DB server. Instead, DBA will connect to the
jump host.
Jump host through the jump host. Okay, DBA will directly connect to the jump host. Through the jump host, DBA will access DB. Okay, for this to happen, usually what happens is, so the DBS public IP, okay, the DBS IP must be open, the DBS port, okay, here in the DBS server. So the IP will be enabled, okay. I'll show you how actually we give access, how the DBA can able to access jump host, how from the jump host he can able to access DB server, all these things we will understand now, okay. This is what we are going to understand. Okay, if DBS cannot directly access the DB server, we are going to create a jump host and DBA will connect to the jump host. From the jump host, he will connect to the DB server and he will perform some maintenance activities. Understand one more thing here. Assume that DBA has connected to the DB server by connecting to the jump host. Okay, by connecting to the jump host. Through the jump host, he connected to the DB server and he wants to perform some maintenance activities. And he wants to upgrade some packages. He wants to upgrade whatever the packages, okay, SQL, Oracle, whatever the package he wants to upgrade. But there is no internet connectivity for the DB server. Usually this private subnet is not having internet connectivity. Is it possible to provide internet connectivity to the private subnet? Yes. We can provide internet connectivity to the private subnet also, but it is a different approach. The approach how we have provided internet connectivity, okay, the approach that we have followed for providing internet connectivity to the public subnet is different. Okay, providing internet connectivity to the private subnet is different. What is the component that we created for providing internet connectivity to the subnet, public subnet?
NAT gateway.
NAT gateway.
Yes, NAT gateway. We'll be attaching a NAT gateway. If you remember, okay, we are going to create that NAT gateway. We are going to create that NAT gateway in the public subnet only. We are going to create that NAT gateway in the public subnet only. Okay. Once we create that NAT gateway in the public subnet, okay, then we will be attaching this NAT gateway to the DB server, but we cannot directly attach any gateways to the subnet. Okay, that's the reason why what we will do is we are going to create one more route table. Understand how we are creating route table here in the public subnet. In the same way, we'll create a NAT gateway. I'm just naming it as NAT, NAT. NAT, NAT gateway. What is the full form of NAT? NAT stands for network address.
Translation.
Okay. We'll be creating a NAT gateway, and we cannot directly attach this NAT gateway to the private subnet. Our aim is now, our objective is providing internet connection to the private subnet. So for that, I'm creating NAT gateway in the public subnet, and I want to attach that to the private subnet. So for attaching it to the private subnet, I'm using a route table. Understand, I'm creating a route table. Directly, we cannot do it. Okay. We are going to create a route table. We are going to create a route table, and we will be attaching that route table. You see here, I'm creating a route table. One end of the route table, I'm attaching to NAT gateway. Another end of the route table, I'm attaching it to its subnet, DB subnet, okay, private subnet. One end of the route table, I'm attaching to the NAT gateway. Another end of the route table, I'm attaching to the DB subnet. This is what we are going to, so that the private subnet will get the internet connectivity. So DBA who is connecting, okay, all the DBAs who are connecting, who are able to connect to the DB server, they can able to upgrade the packages. They will be having internet connectivity. So if we do not do this activity, okay, if we do not create NAT gateway and if we do not attach NAT gateway to the route to the private subnet, if we do not do this activity, what happens? The private subnet will not have
Internet.
internet connection. Okay. So if the private subnet is not having internet connectivity, all the servers that we are creating inside the private subnet, they cannot connect to the internet, and DBAs cannot perform any
Okay.
maintenance activities. They cannot install any packages. They cannot upgrade any packages. They won't do. They cannot do anything. So that's the reason why we'll be doing all these things, like providing internet connectivity to this. So let's understand all these things now. Like quickly we'll create. Okay, won't take much time. So you also know all the entire concept, how to create. I'm directly going for a concept. I'm directly going to the what is the service name that we will be going for? VPC. We search here with VPC. This is the VPC. I have deleted the entire infrastructure, which is created earlier. I'm going for it. Your VPCs, I don't have any VPC except the default. I'm creating a new VPC. And I will be providing the name of the VPC. I'm just giving the name of the VPC as my VPC. Okay. I'm just providing the name of the VPC as my VPC, and I'm going to provide, sorry. And I'll be providing the range for it. Okay. I'm using the 10.000 slash something like 24. Okay. I'm using 24 range. 24 means you know how many IP addresses you will get. 32 minus 8, it is 32 minus 24 is 8. 2 to the power of 8. 2 to the power of 8 is, I think, 256, right? 2 to the power of 8. So you can see here to what is 2 to the power of 8. You can go to the internet and you can search like 2 to the power of 8. What is 2 to the power of 8? 256. Okay. So you'll be getting 256 IP addresses. I'm going ahead and I'm creating a VPC. So VPC is done. My VPC is created. I'm going to create a subnet. I'm going to create two subnets. Okay. Usually from my VPC, I'm going to create two subnets. I'm going to create a subnet called web subnet. I'm creating a subnet called web subnet. So availability zone, I'm selecting something, AP South 1A. And the subnet range I'm providing is 10.0.0 slash 25. I'm giving, 128 IPs I'm using for 128 IPs I'm using for public subnet. I'm going ahead and creating it. I'm going to create one more subnet, which is called private subnet. And usually I'll name it as DB subnet. Reference, I'm using the same thing, 10.000, sorry, not 0 here. Earlier we have provided like 2 to the 25, right? 25 means how many IP addresses will assign? 128 already reserved for public subnet. So here I'm starting with 0 to 127 is already reserved. It will start from 128 slash 25 again. Okay. Again, the remaining 128 IP addresses is assigning for private subnet. I'm just creating a subnet. So public and private subnets are done. I'm going ahead and showing you like what are the subnets we have created. Two subnets, web subnet. I want to make the web subnet as public subnet. How to make the web subnet as public IP? Public subnet. Go to subnet settings. Enable auto assign public IP4. Save this settings. Okay. So we have enabled auto assign settings, auto assign public IP settings for the web subnet, which is called as public subnet. What is the next thing? We need to provide internet connectivity. How to provide internet connectivity? We'll directly go for internet gateway. How to create internet gateway? Create it. My internet. I'm just creating an internet gateway with the name like my internet gateway. I'm creating my internet gateway. Just creating it. And I'm attaching to VPC. You see, whenever I'm creating internet gateway, directly it is asking you can now attach a VPC. Okay, I'm just attaching it to VPC. Select the VPC. This is the VPC. I'm attaching it to the VPC. That's it. I have attached the internet gateway to my VPC. Now, what is the next step? Can someone tell me? I have connected internet gateway, attached this internet gateway to the VPC. To which VPC I have attached? If you want to see, you can just open these details. I have attached this to my VPC. Done. Now, directly, I cannot connect this internet gateway to the subnet. That's the reason why I'm going for route table. I'm creating a route table. I'm just giving the name of the route table is my route table. VPC, I'm selecting as my VPC. I'm just creating a route table. You know that one end of the route table is connecting to what? I'm selecting the route table, go for actions, edit subnet settings. I'm selecting web subnet. Okay, one end of the route table is connected to public subnet. And another end of the route table, again, I'm selecting the route table. Another end of the route table is selecting to edit routes, add route. What is the target here? Internet gateway. Select internet gateway. What is the destination? We use 0.00. 0.00 means what? We are enabling this. If we are using 0.00 as IP, what is the meaning?
Setting it as public
Anyone in the world can able to
access.
So I'm saving this. So it is done. Okay, I made the subnet as public subnet. I have provided internet connectivity to the subnet. Okay, the public subnet. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to create one server in the public subnet, and we have seen like how to make that as web server. So I'm jumping into a service. Okay, I'm jumping into service called EC2. So anyhow, we understood right how actually we connected a web server. Okay, and in the public subnet, all those things. Now let's go for private subnet. Let's create one server in the private subnet. Okay, let me create one server in the private subnet. So that what happens is, let me create one server in the private. I'm going to the instances. I'm going to launch a new server. I'm naming the server as DB server. I'm taking Amazon Linux. Okay, this one t2.micro only key pair. It is asking. Let me create different key pairs. Okay, I'm creating a DB server. I'm naming a key pair as DBKP. Okay, I'm creating the key pair as DBKP. I'm creating it in the PEM format. Okay, I'm just creating it. You see, this is the key pair dbkp.pem. And network settings, I'm editing the network settings. You know what is the VPC, my VPC. I'm going to create this in the DB subnet. By default, the assign public IP is disabled here. We know that. Okay. And the security group here, this is important. So this is a this is a server we are creating in the private subnet, and we will not open SSH port for anyone. So usually we will open this SSH port. We'll open this SSH port to the only to the group of IP addresses. Okay. You see here, I am opening how I am opening here. I am opening this. Okay. I am opening this. So this is the DB server. DB server I am creating in the DB subnet. So who can connect to this DB server? I'm just opening it. I'm opening the ports like anyone from the web subnet. Okay. Any server from any server. I'm opening the port. Okay. I'm opening the port of MySQL. I'm opening MySQL port to the DB server to the whole subnet. Okay. So you see here, what I'm doing is, for now, I am not adding any SSH port. I'm removing it. What is the security group I'm adding is, I am going to open, there will be a port called MySQL. Okay. There is a port called MySQL or Aurora. Okay. We are opening this particular port. MySQL or Aurora port, I am opening it. To which subnet? To the public subnet. Okay. I'm opening this particular port to the public subnet. What is the public subnet? You can see here, what is the public subnet IP range? You can go here, go to the VPC. I have two subnets. One is DB subnet and web subnet. What is the IP address range for web subnet? This is the IP address range, right? This is the CIDR range for this one. Okay, I'm selecting this one. I'm going here. I'm providing the range like this. Okay. So meaning, what is the meaning here? If I'm opening this particular port to this particular subnet, what is the meaning? So any server from here, okay, any server from this particular subnet can able to access this DB server with the port called MySQL. Okay, I'm opening this MySQL port. What is the port range? What is the default port number of MySQL? 3306. Okay, I'm opening MySQL port. I'm not opening any SSH port. I'm opening MySQL port. MySQL port is what? This the 3306. And I'm opening this port to the entire subnet called public subnet. Okay, this is how I'm opening the port for the entire subnet. If you want to open any particular port to the entire subnet, meaning any server you create in the web subnet, that server can able to access this DB servers by using this port. Okay, that's how I'm opening it. I'm going ahead and I'm going to launch this instance. I'm not making any changes. Okay, except I just opened a port called MySQL 3306 to the entire subnet of public subnet. Okay, so entire public subnet, meaning any server in the public subnet can able to access this DB server with the port of 3306. Okay, I just opened it. So now I have created a DB server. We all know that we cannot connect to the DB server because what is the reason why we cannot connect to the DB server? I cannot connect to the DB server because I cannot directly connect to the DB server because what is missing for the DB server?
Public IP is
IP
disabled.
is missing. Okay, public IP is missing, so we cannot directly connect. Usually, we need to provide a solution for the DBS that how can DBS connect to the DB server? We are going to create one more server. Okay, now I am going to create one more server. What is the server that I will be creating is jump host. Understand where I am creating that server? Where I am going to create the jump host? I am going to select this Amazon Linux only, t2.micro. And I'll be selecting here. I will be creating one more key pair for it. Okay. For jump host, I will be creating a key pair. I am just creating a key pair for the jump host KP. Okay. Jump host KP. I'm creating a key pair. Selecting it. Network settings. I am creating this server in the public subnet. Assume that I am creating this in the public subnet. I am creating this jump host. Okay. In the public subnet. So that the public IP will be enabled for the jump host, and I'm going for it. And you see here, while giving the security groups, okay, this is very much important while providing the security groups. So who will be connecting to the jump host? Do you know? Look at the diagram. Who will be connecting to the jump host? In our example, we have a DBA. What is the issue here? DBA cannot directly connect to the DB server. Okay, if you have any confusions, let me show you clearly. I'm going to create a new one. Let's assume the private subnet. Okay. So here I'm going to take one private subnet and also take the public subnet. So here I'm creating one server. What is the name of the server? DB server. Okay. I'm going to create one server called DB server. And usually DBA, anyone from the organization, okay, anyone from the team wants to connect to this DB server. This is DB server. Okay. This is DB server. Where I'm creating the DB server, you know, right? In which subnet I'm creating the DB server? In which subnet I'm creating this DB server? I'm creating this DB server in the DB subnet only. So if DBA wants to connect to this DBA server, he cannot directly connect. That's the reason why. What is the solution we are providing? We are creating one server in the public subnet. What is the name of the server? We are creating one more server here. The name of the server is jump host. And DBA, what can DBA do now is DBA can directly connect to the jump host. From the jump host, DBA can connect to the DB server. Now you see here, if DBA wants to connect to the jump host, we will be providing access to the DBA to the jump host. Otherwise, how can DBA connect to the jump host? So how to provide access to the DBA for the jump host? If I want to provide access to the DBA to the jump host server, how can we do it? We'll go to the server. This is a server I'm creating. This is the jump host server. Under security groups, you see here, under security groups, you can name any, you can provide any name to the security group. Okay. So, but here, whenever you are enabling the rule that we need to enable is SSH. I'm customing only for my IP. So who is DBA for now? Consider my personal machine. Okay. I'm going to connect to this jump host, and from the jump host, I will be accessing the DB server. So that who will be the, what is the IP address? I'm giving my IP. How can I get this my IP? You can go to the internet and you can search what is my IP. This is my public IP. I already told you know how to get our public IP. What is my public IP? You can go for and search in the internet. What is my public IP, so that it will be providing you my IP. It will be providing you the public IP. Okay. Can you see here? This is my public IP. 49.204.199.98. Even you can go through the internet and you can search. Your public IP will be shown there. So this is my public IP. This is my machine's public IP. This is my machine's public IP. So I am giving my machine's public IP here. Why I am giving my machine public IP to the jump host? What is the reason here? Try to understand what is the security group rule that I am opening. I will be accessing this jump host, and through this jump host, I will be accessing the DB server. Try to understand, if I want to access the jump host, you understood, right? If I want to access the jump host, I am not providing access to all the people. I am providing access to the jump host to the people, to only DBS. If you want to provide any other, if you want to add to any others, you can add one more IP here. If you can add like this, add SSH. You can add SSH, and you can go for my IP, and you can provide any. Okay, you can also, usually my IP is already selected here. If you can go for custom IPs, and you can provide multiple IPs here. You understood, right? I am opening my public IP here. This is my public IP, meaning I will be connecting to this jump host. Only I can connect to the jump host. If I'm providing access like this, if I'm opening SSH port only to this public IP, meaning only I can connect to the jump host. Through the jump host, I can connect to the DB server. Okay, I'm just going for it. Let me show you. I'm launching it. I'm just launching a DB instance. You understood, right? I'm just launching a jump host. Okay. So now you can understand. If you have any questions, we can discuss. What we are doing now, I created a DB server. Now I'm creating a jump host here in the public subnet. DBA cannot directly connect to the DB server. That's the reason why DBA will connect to the jump host. From the jump host, you will connect to the DB server. Okay, now let me try. So I'll go to the dashboard. I have instances running. I have jump host and DB server. I have access to the jump host. Okay, I have access to the jump host. I can connect to the jump host. But when I am going to connect to the DB server, I cannot connect to the DB server because, let me show you. I'm trying to connect to the jump host by using git bash. Okay, you know how to connect to the jump host, right? Just open it. You can go for connect. You can just click on connect as such client. This is the command you need to run. Where you need to run this command, I already told you, right? If you are trying to connect from the git bash or putty, you need to copy this command. I'm copying this command. I'm going to the downloads folder where I'm having this key pair. If you have this key pair, go to that folder, go to the place where you have that file, and just open the git bash from here. Okay, and then paste the command over here so that you can able to connect. He's asking whether you want to connect. Yes. I got connected to the jump host. Okay. Why? Because I have already added my public IP. I have access to the jump host. I got connected to the jump host. Now the problem is I'll try to connect to the I'll try to connect to the DB server from the jump host. How to connect to the DB server? Again, the same thing. What I can do, I'll go to the DB server, click on connect. We need this particular command. Okay, copy this key pair. This is the command I need to run. Okay, I'm going to run the same command from here from the DB server. Before I run, what I will do is I'm going for sudo su hyphen, because root user will have more privileges. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to paste this command over there. Sudo this one. Okay, ssh hyphen dbkp.pem, and I'm trying to connect to the DB server. It is saying that this key pair is not available here. Okay, I can directly connect to the key pair, but this key pair is not available. Can you see here? This key pair is not available. When I'm trying to connect SSH, when I'm trying to connect by using SSH command, this key pair is not available here. That's the reason why we need to copy this key pair to this machine, to the jump host. The key pair to be copied, the key pair must be copied to here, to the jump host. Then only I can able to connect to this part. Can anyone tell me how can I copy a file from my Windows machine? The consider my key pair is available. Consider the key pair is available in my Windows machine. How can I copy the file from Windows machine to the Linux server? How can I copy the files from Windows server to the Linux machine? Okay, you can go to the Google and search like how can I copy any file from Windows to Linux? Windows to Linux machine. So we have some tools. Okay, we have some tools. We can use, there is a popular tool like WinSCP. Okay, we can download WinSCP and we can transfer the files from Windows machine to the Linux machine. Okay, let's go here. What I'm trying to do is I'm going for WinSCP. I'm going for downloading WinSCP. I'm going for downloading WinSCP. Download WinSCP. You understood, right? Why I am downloading WinSCP now? I would like to copy that key pair to the jump host server from my local machine, from my Windows server to the jump host. I will be copying that key pair file. So to copy that, actually, I have a tool called, sorry, what is the tool I am downloading? I need WinSCP. Did I got? I'm downloading WinSCP. What is this? I'm opening it. Okay, this is the file. This is the setup file. You just double click on the setup file. You can install. Okay, I'm installing. So I'm just installing WinSCP. You know the purpose of WinSCP. WinSCP is mainly for copying the files. I'm just opening the WinSCP here. Installation is completed. I'm just opening the WinSCP here. See, I'm just opening WinSCP. This is how. Okay, this is the one. Opening it. Okay. You can see here. So I want to copy my local files. Okay, you see where is my file? Where is the file that I have? You can go here. My file is at my local machine. I have my file at my local machine and I will be connecting to the server. Okay. How can I connect to the server? You can connect to the server by providing the host name. So what is the host name? Jump host. Okay. You need to give the host name jump host. You need to provide the name of the, this is the jump host. Okay. Click on jump host and I will be connecting to the jump host with the, where is the jump? Click on VPC. Sorry. You can go to the instances. Select the instance of jump host. Tell me what is the IP address that we need to provide now? What is the IP address that we need to provide for connecting to the server? I'm just getting it. Okay. I'm providing the host name. Usually host name in the sense like usually we get, this is the host name. Okay. Private IP address will be the host name. I'm just clicking on login. Okay. Providing the host name. The port number is by default 22. I'm just trying click on login. I already have access to the jump host. Okay. And the key pair is also available in my machine. And I'm trying to connect by using the IP. Okay. I'm just trying to connect by using the host name. So let me try. It is searching for the host. Usually if it find out the host, then we can connect to the server easily. connection timed out. Maybe we need to provide the name of the user. Just providing the name of the user is EC2 user. Okay. Name of the user is EC2. And it is not connecting. So usually we'll be connecting to this server. Hope you understood, right? What I am doing is I am trying to connect from my machine to the I am trying to connect from my machine to the jump host. Okay. What I should do is I need to copy a file. I need to copy a file from my Windows server to the jump host. So what is the file that I need to copy? I need to copy a file called, you see here, I have a key page, right? I have key page downloaded in my machine. I'll show you. I have key pairs downloaded in my local machine, DB key pair and jump host key pair. Okay, this DB key pair must be copied to which server? This DB key pair must be copied to the server called what? Jump host server. If the DP key pair is available in the jump host server, so that I can connect to this particular host. Okay, if the DB key pair I want to connect to the DB server, I cannot directly connect to it. So DBA will connect to the jump host. From the jump host, he will be connecting to the DB server so that the jump host must have the key pair, all these things. Okay. So the jump host must have the key pair so that whatever the key pair that is generated for DB server, that key pair must be kept at the jump host. Otherwise, we cannot connect. So the key pair will be available in the jump host. The DB key pair must be available in the jump host. So if it is not available, usually what we should do is we usually generate the key pairs and we will copy the files to the machines. So we have a file called we have a software called WinSAP which is used to copy the files. We have a file called WinSAP. It's not a file. We have a software called WinSAP. The use of WinSAP is to copy the files from Windows machine to the Linux server. You are using Windows machine and you want to copy a file from Windows server to the Linux machine. How to copy? We have many other softwares. There is a software called WinSAP. We can use WinSAP and we can connect to the Linux server and we can copy the files. Usually that's what I am doing now. I have WinSAP installed. What I am trying to do is I need to provide the IP address here. I'll provide the IP address, the host name, and we will be providing the username also so that we can connect to the particular server. Maybe I'm trying to connect to this. It is rejecting the connection. Let me try once again. The instances. Okay. Okay, you have any questions? You have any questions so far? Let's discuss. If you really understand the concept, you can try. I'll show you. I'll show you like it is failing, it is rejecting the connection. Okay, I need to see like why it is rejecting the connection. Maybe what we are missing. Okay, I need to test it out. So can if you have any questions, let's discuss. Okay, otherwise I will show you in the next session like how we will be connecting from the jump host to the DB server and how we are going to connect to the NAT gateway. So otherwise, let me show you for today how we are going to create a NAT gateway. It's very simple. We will be going to the VPC dashboard, go to the NAT gateway, and we'll be creating. Okay, it'll ask you, you have a NAT gateway here. Just click on create NAT gateway, and we're providing the name of the NAT gateway. The name of the NAT gateway is my NAT gateway, and it is asking the subnet. If you remember, in which subnet we need to create the NAT gateway? In which subnet we need to create this NAT gateway? We need to create the NAT gateway in the public subnet, remember. To provide the internet connection, what is the purpose of NAT gateway? NAT gateway is mainly for providing internet connection to the public subnet. So if you want to provide internet connection to the private subnet, you need to create this NAT gateway in the public subnet. So I'm selecting this web subnet, connectivity type. Okay, select the connectivity type for the NAT gateway. And I'm going for allocating the elastic IP. We need to allocate. Just click on allocate elastic IP. I will tell you what is the purpose of allocating elastic IP. You know what is elastic IP? Elastic IP is nothing but static IP. So here we have an option of allocating the elastic IP. You see here, whenever we are using NAT gateway, all these things, we know the purpose of NAT gateway. The purpose of NAT gateway is mainly for providing internet connectivity to the private subnet. So when I'm using NAT gateway, when I'm creating NAT gateway in this public subnet, okay, I'm going to create this NAT gateway in the public subnet. And usually most of the times we won't face any issues. We won't get any difficulties with the NAT gateway. If the NAT gateway is down, consider the situation. Usually it won't down. The NAT gateway won't be down, will not be down. If the NAT gateway is down, then what happens? The NAT gateway is attached to assume that the NAT gateway we have created and we are attaching the NAT gateway to the private subnet. This is how we are doing. What is this one? What is the component? What is the component that we are using? One more component we are using. What is this one more component we are using for connecting this NAT gateway to the DB subnet? I'm creating one more component called route table. If you understand, earlier also I told you internet connectivity providing internet connectivity to the public subnet. In the same way, I'm providing internet connectivity to the private subnet. What is the component I'm creating? NAT gateway. I cannot directly attach the NAT gateway to the private subnet. That's why I'm attaching route table. One end of the route table is attaching to the NAT gateway. Another end of the route table is attaching to the DB subnet. So now I'm creating a NAT gateway. And while creating the NAT gateway, it is asking you want to attach the elastic IP. What happens is sometimes if the NAT gate is down and if you restart this NAT gateway, the public IP of the NAT gateway will changes. The public IP of the NAT gateway will changes. So that's the reason why we are attaching elastic IP. What happens if we assign elastic IP? Elastic IP is nothing but static IP. Even if the NAT gateway is restarted, even if we restart the NAT gateway also, the public IP will not be changed. That is the use of allocating elastic gateway. Wherever if you go for the concept of elastic IP is nothing but static IP. Usually we will also attach these elastic IPs to the public servers, to the servers we are creating in the public subnet because when we restart the server, even if you take the EC2 machine also, consider you have EC2 machine and the public IP is enabled for the EC2 machine. If you restart the server, the public IP will be usually changes. Whenever you restart the server, public IP will usually get changed. So if you want that should not happen, what you need to do? You need to assign elastic IP. The same concept we are implementing for NAT gateway also. We have NAT gateway. We have a NAT gateway. And while creating the NAT gateway, it is asking to attach the elastic IP. So I'm attaching the elastic IP. I'm just allocating. You just click on elastic IP. That's it. Very simple. You don't need too much. Okay. You just need to click on allocate elastic IP, so that elastic IP will be created and you are going to create a NAT gateway. That's it. The purpose of elastic IP is, it is nothing but static IP. Whenever if the NAT gateway gets restarted, the public IP won't change. If the public IP changes, there will be some issues. We'll get some issues. Okay, the public IP, if the public IP changes, then we'll not we will not get internet. Okay, usually it should not get changed. Once we assign, it should not get changed. If you want a static IP, you need to assign elastic IP. So we have created an NAT gateway. What is the other component we need to create? Route table. Click on route table, create a route table, and I'm just providing one more route table. I'm just providing the name of the route table as my route table NAT. Okay, I'm just providing the name of the my route table NAT. VPC, I'm selecting my VPC, I'm creating a route table. So now we created one component called NAT gateway and created a route table. You know how to attach this NAT gateway. We have already we understood like, so the creating NAT gateway, okay? Creating NAT gateway will take few minutes of time. So this is how actually we create NAT gateway and we create route table. We'll be attaching this NAT gateway. Okay, if you go to the NAT gateway, select the NAT gateway, you can go to the actions. And we will be attaching this NAT gateway to the private subnet. Okay, directly we cannot do it. We have attached this NAT gateway to the VPC. Go to the route table, select this route table NAT, go to actions, edit subnet associations. I am assigning this NAT gateway to the DB subnet. One end of the NAT gateway is assigning to the DB subnet. The another end, you need another end. Okay, select another end of the route table, edit routes, edit route. You need to select the NAT gateway. You need to select the destination as NAT gateway. Okay, you need to select the destination NAT gateway and you need to provide, this is the IP range. Okay, to which subnet we need this internet connection. Okay, usually what happens, we need to provide something here, right? Usually we provide 000, right? Here you understood, right? What is the destination? What is the target we are providing? All these things while creating the internet gateway also we understood. Okay, what I'm doing, instead of destination here, I'm selecting the NAT gateway. For now I'm selecting destination as 00. I'm saving it. Here you need to select the NAT gateway. Hope you understood how we are creating NAT gateway and how we are attaching NAT gateway to the private subnet. So for now, let's stop this for today. Okay, we'll be meeting tomorrow. I'll show you like we are not able to access it. Like I'll show you how can I connect from my local machine to the Jump host. From the Jump host, how can I connect to the DB server? We'll see that demo tomorrow. You have any questions here in understanding NAT gateway, how to attach the NAT gateway? After attaching the NAT gateway, usually we are providing internet connection to the private subnet. To verify whether it is getting internet connectivity or not, what should we do? How should we verify whether internet connectivity is provided to the subnet or not? All these things we'll be discussing in the tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last day for discussing this VPC. We are also going to understand one more. After NAT gateway, we are also having one more component called security groups. Okay, we'll be discussing more on security groups. NACL. Okay, we have another concept called NACL, Network Access Control List. Okay, Network Access Control List, NACL under security groups. So that VPC concept will be completed. Then we'll be going for the another concepts. Okay, the remaining things. Thank you all. If you have any questions, let's discuss. But try to understand the flow. You can also practice in your machines. We are creating Jump host. Okay, and DBA will connect to the Jump host so that we are providing the IP address of the DBA to the Jump host. Okay, we are opening the public IP of the DBA to the Jump host, and from the Jump host we are connecting to the DB server. For that, the DB server KPI, this particular server key pair must be present here in this Jump host server. So that's the reason why I'm using a software called WinSAP to copy the files, to copy that key pair from my local machine to the Jump host, so that I can connect to the DB server and I can connect to the DB server and I can verify whether internet connectivity is there or not. Why? Because we have attached the NAT gateway to the private subnet also. We need to verify whether it is getting internet connectivity or not after connecting to the DB server. Any questions? So please go through the recording once again if you have any doubts so that you will understand. Okay. Thank you all. Let's meet tomorrow if you don't have any questions.